Today I'm going to talk to you about edible images. These images are printed on edible paper with food color, and then you can use them to decorate cakes and cookies. The cartridges are the same that you'd have in your printer. Inside the cartridge is food color. The enemy of this product is sunlight. Direct light, they will fade. If you have a cookie and you want to keep it as a souvenir, make sure you don't leave it out because it will fade. The two types of paper that you can use are, often people call edible paper rice paper, and they're often wrong. It's actually a frosting sheet. This here is wafer paper or rice paper. This is kind of, it's got no backing. It's rather stiff. And this, I have this only for when I'm doing wings of butterflies and things like that. You see here, I print it and I can cut it out, and it stands up very easily. I'm going to quickly cut out this butterfly to show you. Not perfectly, but so this is very good for butterflies. I see them for sale on Etsy. People make these and sell them. Basically, they're just printing a sheet full of them, and then they cut them out. And I don't even know if they put on the royal icing body, but if you want, then you can just pipe a royal icing body, and then you can use them to decorate cupcakes and cakes and stuff. If you look on my Flickr, I've done it on a couple of cakes and things. I used this on a Barbie cake to make Mariposa, the Barbie. I made her wings with this. So once this is done, you can fold it. You make a little... You place it, you make a royal icing body, it dries, and there you go. You have a perfect, realistic butterfly. I've sprayed them with the airbrush, the luster dust, the pearl. Makes them like so shiny, they look like jewelry. The other product, which is what I use on my cakes and on my cookies, this is called a frosting sheet. Now this again, you can cut up because it's made the size of a piece of paper, and to go like on a slab cake. They even make them bigger than that, but my printer only prints 8.5 by 11. And you can print your image. You have to format. You have to be pretty good on your computer to format your things. You need a separate printer to do all this. So if you're not going to do it a lot, you're better to just order them. I'll post two links, one for Canadians and one for Americans, if you want to order printed sheets. And so there's my printed image. I sized it for the cookie that I'm going to be decorating. There we go. And then I'm going to be ready to go. I cut them all out. You can make these in advance. Also, these I've sprayed with the pearl in advance. I let them dry, then I put them away for the day of the job. And it's a step you can do that's not the day of decorating, so you're a little bit ahead of the game when you're actually decorating. I'm going to cut a little bit more off. I find it's a bit tight on the size of the cookie. So there we go. So when you're ordering your products, if you want to set yourself up with this, you know, you might want to get, well, the thing is they only sell the rice paper, the wafer paper, 25 sheets per pack, I think, something like that. So you're stuck with them. And I don't really like it on the cake and cookies, but, you know, I think this was one of the first products that came out. It came out before the frosting sheets. But it's really great for the butterflies, and in a pinch, you know, it can work on the cookies. I find that when you put it in the icing, the edges tend to curl faster than the frosting sheet. And the frosting sheet really melts into the icing, whereas this sometimes tends to stay separate, and you'll have some issues with refrigeration on this one, whereas this one, it's not impacted by the refrigerator and the humidity. I'm going to decorate one to show you how it works. So you're going to need some piping consistency icing to hold the flood in, alright? So I've seen some cookie sellers on the internet. They charge like for everything that you do with an edible image. So they can just do an edible image on the cookie, and then they'll charge for a border. I personally wouldn't offer that option to my customer because the photo without a border is ugly. And so I don't care if, you know, they want it a little bit cheaper. I don't want an ugly cookie to leave my kitchen. So you just flood the cookie. Don't put too much because the frosting sheet won't sit right. It'll kind of get bumpy there. So that's it. Just spread out the icing. The thing to remember too with your cartridges and your printer, if you don't use it often, they can dry out, and it's quite a production. If you're not using it on a regular basis, don't bother setting yourself up. Just order the sheets when you need them. Alright, so now this has a plastic backing. So you remove the plastic backing and you place your image right on the wet icing. Some will not agree. A lot of people, the majority of people, do not place their image on wet icing. They wait for the icing to dry, then they use corn syrup or all other different things to stick it on. I'm all about keeping it simple. I don't want to do another step, so I just do it this way. This step works, this way works for me. If you want to add sanding sugar to your border that you add after the image, you're going to have to wait for these to dry because the moisture will come through on your image if you're dunking this or sprinkling this with sanding sugar. And so I'm just rushing through. This is just a video cookie for you guys. I'm not going to bother with sanding sugar. I'm just going to be piping dots around the cookie. See, my edge here is not curling up, but I put a little bit too much flood and it's spilling out. So I'm just going to wipe that off. The other thing that I've seen and read that people have issues with is separating the image from the plastic backing. Due to humidity and such, sometimes the image is difficult to separate from the backing. I've seen so many different tips and tricks that people are saying, you know, put it in the oven, do this, do that. I put it in the freezer. Once the frosting sheet is frozen, it becomes crisp like a cracker and it separates very easily from the plastic backing. I'm going to show you now how I outline the cookie. And so I'm using a number 2 tip here, and I'm placing myself on the edge of the image, and I want it to go a little bit over the image and down the side here to hide this edge. So if I place myself here, the dot kind of squishes over the image and a bit down here. So dot, I'm just going to do little dots all the way around, and it's going to clean up the edge here. That little peak, I'll come back with a toothpick after. So I'm placing myself like on the side almost, and the icing, like I say, is hiding that little seam. So you can't see the edge of the edible image. And there we go. I'm just going to take a toothpick to heal that up. I'm going to pick it up to show you the edge, you see? Can you see that? It hides that, and there's no seam to the image. There's no curling. Alright. I'm going to show you like super quick how to do a butterfly, just in case you're interested. So here is that that wafer paper. I folded it and I have that little seam. So I'm just going to do a little line here of icing to glue it onto the base there. And then a big dot for the head. And I'm pulling down here, and there we go. And then when I fold it back up, the body's going to stick a bit, and there we go. So then I can let these dry on a cookie sheet, and then I can just peel them off and use them to decorate a cake or cupcakes.